Good morning and welcome to the Raben Report. I'm your host, Elliot Raben, so get ready to get triggered. Good morning and welcome to the Raben Report. I'm your host, Elliot Raben, and with me is just Marshall for now, at least.
Just Marshall. You just gotta deal with Marshall for now. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry to disappoint, but you know what? I think you'll grow to like me today.
Yeah, it's one of those days where things just happen.
Midterm season.
Yeah, exactly.
And here he is. Would you like me to let him in, Elliot?
Yeah, go ahead, let him in. So, while everybody's watching, we're just letting Adam in. Daniel's almost here. He's just working on his midterm. This is episode 3 of the Raben Report, season 5, episode 3. Look who showed up. Adam.
Oh, hello, friends.
Let's get a shot on him. Wherever he is, there he is.
I appreciate Elliot trying to cover for me and make me look good in front of all of you, but I overslept. My alarms didn't go off.
It's okay. We're just happy to have you here, buddy.
Yeah.
How's my mic position for the camera right now?
All good.
Perfect.
Lovely.
Yeah, everything's good. So we'll be expecting Daniel shortly. However, in the meantime, how are you guys? My usual question.
Oh, I got a midterm today right after this, and it's for my nationalism class. I hate that class. The prof is a bit of an indoctrinator, as I like to say. But it's I'm looking forward to the midterm. It's going to be pretty good. I'm going to kill it. So
that's awesome. What I like to hear.
And Adam?
You and nationalism, what can go wrong?
Yeah.
I'm good. I spent my reading week in Chicago with Ryerson, which was really, really interesting and really jam-packed with a lot of different political important people in Chicago, and it was definitely a life-changing experience, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, my reading week was just spent shooting and basically trying to get as much work done as I can for schoolwork, but obviously no sleep for Elliot as usual. So to begin, as per Spirit Live rules and regulations, all opinions expressed on the show are not those of Ryerson or Ryerson faculty and are only those of the individual commentators. Viewer discretion is advised. So we're going to have to speed through our recap of the week, like hyper speed, like Mach 1, you know what I mean?
All right, okay.
So the first thing, which is the embassy situation in, where is it?
In Saudi Arabia.
In Saudi Arabia.
Or is it in Turkey?
It's
in Saudi Arabia.
I think it's
Saudi Arabia.
in Saudi Arabia, yeah.
So do either of you want to tell us quickly what happened?
Yeah, so it was a diplomat, if I'm not mistaken, who was... Now, what people are saying, we don't actually exactly know what happened, but people are saying that he was murdered by Saudi Arabian G-men, essentially. And people are saying that there was a recording of it, but then the story with the recording doesn't quite add up, as some people are pointing out, because he recorded it with his Apple Watch. But Saudi Arabia doesn't support the 3rd generation of Apple Watch, which is the only one that can record. And recording has to have like a red light on it to make it noticeable, and so somebody would have noticed. And so we aren't exactly sure what happened, but it is Saudi Arabia. And we know that lots of shady things can happen in Saudi Arabia with a government such as that. Yeah. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple weeks as more details come out, because, if Saudi Arabia murdered a diplomat, and I believe he was a diplomat.
He was.
Yeah. That's like...
No, he was a journalist.
Oh, he was a journalist.
I think he was a journalist.
Either way.
Yeah.
A journalist, diplomat,
a
journalist.
It looks really, really bad.
Is that a declaration of war?
He's a Saudi national, so you can't really declare war on yourself.
True.
Jamal Khashoggi, this guy, he was critical of the Saudi government, and any government but the Saudis can accept criticism. That's definitely a generalization. There are many governments that would not like criticism, but Saudi Arabia is one of the ones that doesn't like it the most. The thing with Jamal Khashoggi is that they're all eyes are on Trump now. They're like, ooh, is he going to punish the Saudis?
Yeah.
What is he going to do? Like, is he going to stand up for that? Blah 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 blah. And Mike Pompeo just landed in Saudi Arabia this morning, and the word on the street there is that Saudi Arabia is going to confess to killing him, but in form of a botched interrogation.
Wow.
That's how they're gonna set it up.
Because I know his fiance asked Trump specifically for
Yeah.
help, so
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
Yeah, he said, Trump initially said that if they find evidence that Saudi killed him, there'll be very, very bad consequences in Trump English. So,
Wow.
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Moving forward, Elizabeth Warren is a topic of conversation because she, at one
Yeah.
point, she claimed that she's part Native Indian. Now, or Native American, sorry.
There we go.
Now, her DNA results came back, and what were the results?
Between 164th and 1024th.
Yeah, I don't like that. For me, it's like the birther movement part 2. If somebody claims Native American ancestry, it should be by kinship, not by percentage of DNA.
Yeah.
So Trump infamously calls her Pocahontas, and I think that that got under her skin. It's like the same thing with Obama and the birther movement.
Yeah.
So the fact that she had to release her DNA test really upsets me. One, I don't really care how Native she is. If she claims Native ancestry, I should have no reason to believe that she's not of Native ancestry. And two, it's more of a flair for like a potential 2020 run. That's how I see it. You don't want to eat, like, why would you clear up this thing that's been, going since 2016 now?
Yeah.
What for?
Now, for me, I just think, like, the way Elizabeth Warren talked about it, it seemed that she was claiming Native American ancestry for clout, in a way.
Okay.
And I think that, like, if I were... So, as per my mother's 23andMe results, I am approximately about as West African as Elizabeth Warren is Native American. Assuming on the lower end of the scale, if she's 1024th Native American, her and I are I'm about as West African as that. 0.5% West African. I can't go around saying I'm black, right?
Right.
And I can't say that for clout. I can't say that for any other purpose because
Also,
that's just
no one
wrong.
will believe you.
Exactly. And so for Elizabeth Warren to use her being Native American as a talking point, I think that some clarification were in order, because if you were to say, because that is an ethnicity, and to claim yourself as an ethnicity, there should be at least some sort of genetic significance in your genetic makeup there.
Yeah.
And so, I think Trump was quite hard on her and a bit derogatory with the Pocahontas remarks for sure. And I won't defend that. But at the same time, I can't endorse Elizabeth Warren claiming Native American ancestry either, when she's probably less Native American than the average person in America. Genetically, at least.
Yeah.
Is there kinship? I don't know. I think, like, I don't know. I don't think anything has come out to say that there is, and if there is, then okay. But, I can't endorse Elizabeth Warren claiming Native American ancestry.
That's fair. And then lastly, we were going to talk about the Sears bankruptcy, but I think what's more important is tomorrow, which, thank you to Breyer, pointed out. Weed is legal tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. So, shalom, congrats. I don't know how you guys are going to be celebrating. If you're going to be celebrating, what are you guys going to be doing?
My life will not change in any
Absolutely not.
way whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm going to carry on living, and I'll probably be smelling a lot more weed
Yeah.
than I normally would.
And
Which at Ryerson isn't really that hard to beat at this point.
yeah.
No, it isn't.
You know what I will do? I will go on the website because I am very interested to see how the website's going to look and how the distribution's going to be. I'm not going to order anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that honestly because, it'll be legal and it doesn't really affect me either way whether I do or not. But I will not be ordering anything. But I will have a peek at the website because I am actually rather interested to see how the distribution is going to work.
Yeah.
What kind of package is it going to come in? What kind of stuff can you buy? A study came out recently that the differences between these strains, I don't know if you have any friends who partake in the devil's lettuce, but they'll always talk, oh yeah, I got this new white rhino purple granddaddy dark night kush. And
that's not far off.
That white
sure
rhino
is,
purple
yeah.
granddaddy dark night kush is actually no different from your sleepy time Alice in Wonderland, whatever. There's no difference. Actually, no difference in terms of how it affects you psychologically or anything. So I find that that's actually something I've been saying since I was a kid. And people would come up to me in the hallway and go, yo, I got this blue kush, bro. I'd go, okay, well, yeah, I'm sure that's a whole lot different from from the green kush and the purple kush that you were selling. Yeah.
Make kush great again.
Yeah.
I'm just interested to see, there are reports going around that Canada just doesn't have enough supply.
Yeah.
That's what I heard
And
too.
I'm really interested to see if there's going to be like a stoner riot.
Yeah, like a weed shortage.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
That's really, really funny. A weed shortage.
And the website's going to go down on the first day.
Oh,
so
100% it's going to crash.
I won't be able
It's
to
gonna
access
be
the
Rams.
website on the first day, actually, so I'll
It's
wait a
straight up
couple days.
Rams on course selection.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what it's
yeah.
gonna be.
Oh, God.
You won't be able to get on the website on the first day.
PTSD.
They need to do something in that to that effect. Like they got to get some like Call of Duty Black Ops 4 servers going that can handle 10 million people. Not 10 million.
On the
maybe
on the
maybe
bright,
10 million people.
on the bright
logging on.
on the bright side, the web developers of the website are probably going to get a lot of business from this.
Yeah,
Depending
probably.
on if the website looks good, and we'll find out from Marshall.
I really think it's going to be ugly. I really think it's going to be
probably
ugly.
going to be like
Well,
the
the
Government of
logo
Canada
sucks.
website.
The logo
Logo's
sucks,
terrible.
and LCBO online sucks.
Yeah, it
I don't know
does,
if
it
you've
does.
seen LCBO online. It looks like some kid's presentation.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's slow and it's no good.
yeah.
Vistec, like for example, a camera store only updated their website like a couple weeks ago. It was trash. Like people don't understand how important website development is.
Yeah.
Marshall will tell us how theirs is tomorrow. So,
We'll post screenshots on the.
yes, very
on the-
true. So, moving on to our main story.
Dun, dun, dun.
This isn't our first rodeo, but it's definitely not the same one. We've covered federal elections, across the border, provincial elections, right here at home, and today we get cozy in our local community of Toronto and surrounding municipalities to bring you an episode on the upcoming municipal elections. Across the province, residents will vote on October 22nd for their new mayors and city councils. Specifically, we're going to focus on the Toronto mayoral race because, truth be told, it's probably the most entertaining. This year, there are about 35 candidates running for mayor, which is a record high, I believe. We'll talk top contenders, controversies, and we'll also touch on each of our local municipalities, them being Brampton, once Daniel shows up, Vaughan, my home, and Whitby, Marshall's home. Actually, we'll talk about Brampton because there's something very important about Brampton. But before we start, remember that we are live on Facebook, so you can comment on our feed to have your thoughts read live on air. So let's begin by taking a look at the results of our poll. So the poll ended at 11
I'll
today.
Get that out, yeah.
Perfect. So the poll, what we asked our viewers was, will you be voting in your local municipal election? And luckily, we got quite a significant amount of votes. I don't know. What do you think? Before we mention the poll, you think there will be more participation in the election than provincial or federal?
Well,
or less?
Toronto participation, civic participation actually is quite high.
Really?
Yeah, people vote in Toronto. I was doing some research for my boss, and in the interest of full disclosure, I do work for a Toronto City Councillor. I work for Denzelman and Wong, who's
He's a mole. He's a spy.
yeah, who's going to be in. I can't remember the name of the ward, but it's Don Valley East is the ward.
13.
13, yeah.
13.
So Don Valley East.
That's my ward. So
Yes.
I'm not some freak that knows all the.
And so I do work for him, and I am supporting his run. I can't vote for him because I don't work in that, or I don't live in that
yeah,
area,
yeah.
but I am supporting my boss, Denzel.
And also, full disclosure, I am working on videos for somebody running in the Vaughan City Council campaign as well, Frank Scarlato. So, just if anybody needs to know.
In Toronto?
No, in Vaughan.
Okay,
In Vaughan,
I was,
yeah.
yeah.
So, Did you figure out the poll?
I did. I
so
just
what are
closed it, which wasn't very smart of me. But we had 44 votes, which is
Wow.
pretty good. Good turnout. Happy.
That was only 14 hours the poll was open.
Yeah. 93% said they will vote, and 7% said they will not vote.
So what are the numbers in terms of votes? I believe only 3 people said.
41 people
Yeah.
said they would vote, and then 3 people said they wouldn't vote.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good odds.
So 2 of the people, I don't know who they are. The third one is Kara. I don't know why she clicked that when I told her not to, but it's fine.
Skew the results.
Yeah, honestly. No, that's a good thing that we only got 3 people that said no, but I wanted to know why they don't want to vote. So if you guys are listening, let us know why you're not voting.
And if you didn't
sad.
vote in the poll, just shoot us a message on the live stream
Yep.
here and say, hey, you know what? This is why I'm voting. This is why I'm not voting. Tell us who you're voting for. Tell us who you
Sad.
like, who you don't like.
Perfect. So the first question being regarding the Toronto mayoral race, as mentioned. How has Tory been as current mayor? John Tory is the mayor of Toronto right now. He beat out Doug Ford in the previous election.
Dougie Ford.
Once he took over from the late Rob Ford, and he's been mayor for 4 years now, right? So how's he been?
You know, I think that he's done a pretty good job. I don't have a lot of criticisms for John Tory. The only criticisms I have, the biggest one, I think, would be how long he took to open the Moss Park Armory with the shelter crisis. For those who don't know, the shelters of Toronto are overcapacitated. And it was a particularly cold week that a lot of, not a lot, but there were several cases of homeless people being found dead in the streets. And there was a petition to open the Moss Park Armory, which is a Canadian military. Canadian military? Yeah, Canadian military.
Yeah.
Why would it be any other military? Canadian military armory downtown, and they have cots.
It's right by us, actually.
Yeah, they have cots in the armory, and they were begging him to open the armory, and he just took too long. He did it, and it was a good move, but he just took too long. The other one would be he voted against the Stormwater Cleanup Act that was run through City Council. There was an act pushed a few years ago to look into stormwater clearance in Toronto community homes and sewer clearance and all that. And he voted against it, and there have been huge problems with stormwater and flooding in the city. And I think we would be a lot better off if he hadn't voted.
I also think, he's done pretty well. I also agree. But the problem is there was one interview that he was doing like a couple days ago on TV, and he was talking about the arts and increasing funding for it. And then behind him in the background...
Oh, that's a picture I sent.
Oh, that's the one you sent?
Yeah.
It's a picture of a homeless person there in the background, and I was like, really?
It's just a little bit of poetic justice,
Yeah,
I think.
I think... I really wish... I would say this for any mayor, but I wish there was more action on homelessness. That's my big thing.
Yeah, same. I agree.
Because, being downtown at Ryerson, Yonge-Dundas Square, there's a whole load of homeless people. And I just think there should be more done about them, and they should be prioritized as opposed to, other people. But, that's the way I think. But other than that, I think he's been a pretty good mayor as well. Marshall, you have anything else you want to mention?
I don't have any strong feelings about John Tory either which way. I think he hasn't done a bad job, and I like a lot of the things he's done. Some of the ways he's voted I haven't been particularly a fan of, but I think when it comes to Toronto City Council and the way councillors and the mayor vote, it's often done in a sycophantic way to kind of go with the flow, more or less, which is an unfortunate thing about municipal politics, where you just really want to vote with what's going to be popular a lot of the time. And so I don't necessarily blame anybody for that, but I think, for example, with the handgun ban, which I think was a really unnecessary thing, almost everybody voted for that. I think it was silly.
It was mainly
Yeah,
it was
Mammoliti
that voted against it.
Yeah, and Mammoliti, who I like in a lot of ways, I don't like in a lot of ways. But I think
I
he's
hate Mammoliti.
I think he's one of the most interesting city councilors for sure.
Yeah.
He was one of the people who voted against it. And handguns are already in effect banned, like de facto banned in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I don't like to make things harder for law-abiding gun owners, and I think that's what that's going to do. And then sanctuary cities, I'm not big on. I believe it was Tory who did vote for that. It was. It was. I'm not a fan of that. But otherwise, I'm not like too. I'm not feeling too strongly either which way about Tory.
Yeah. A big thing in my community in Ward 13 was that we had a local bus that a lot of seniors used and a lot of service workers used called the 162. And it's like no one takes it. And when Rob Ford cut a lot of the underused bus routes, the community was pretty upset. And he restored full service to that. And he restored full service to a lot of underused bus routes. And I think that was a really cool thing he did.
That is good, because you know what? A lot of these bus routes, they can be, people look at them as so unimportant, but they are really important to a certain kind of section of the community.
Yeah.
So that was, you only really care about the mayor when you feel the things he's done. And I think that was one of the times where we really felt his action.
Very true.
I really could have phrased that better.
Yeah, so that's okay. But moving forward to Jennifer Keys, Matt. Who is Jennifer Keys, Matt, for those who don't know, and is she a threat to Tory?
I'll let you know more about her, I'd assume.
All right, let's get down into it. So Jennifer Keys, Matt, was the former chief city planner of Toronto. She started the position in 2012 under the late Rob Ford, and she resigned from her position last year, or even earlier this year, I think, because she had some public disagreements with John Tory over the eventual plan for the Gardner. So for those of you who don't know, the elevated portion of the Gardner downtown, there were three proposals for it. There was the Boulevard proposal, there was the blend proposal, and there was the just sort of repair it and keep going proposal. And City Council ended up voting with the blending proposal to destroy one part of it and then create a ramp out of it, I think. It's like the middle ground. Jennifer Keys was very pro the Boulevard, and she resigned from her post because of that. I thought she was going to be a threat to John Tory. I don't see that being realistic now unless anything changes very drastically in the next 3 or 4 days. So that's my 2 cents on that.
And that's Canadian politics for you, is everybody gets 2 terms. Everybody.
Yeah.
Unless they massively screw up or are perceived to have massively screwed up in some way. And it would have to be a Beaumark is not a term that people use too much today, but Beaumark is a term that people used a long time ago for a situation that ends a politician's career in Canada. It's a Canadian term, named after my favorite Prime Minister, John Diefenbaker, who was, taken out by a situation with regarding the Cold War and a missile defense system, Beaumark missile defense system. And he was only a 1-term prime minister, which is really unfortunate. Or he might actually, 57 to 63. So, term and a half.
Yeah.
Term and a half.
Yeah.
So, he was a term and a half prime minister. And it's really unfortunate because he didn't actually screw up. It was Louis Saint-Laurent who screwed up, but
the damn French.
He took the fall for it because of JFK. And we can go into that another day. I think I've mentioned it before, but JFK ended Diefenbaker's prime ministership. Or premiership, which is the actual term.
Definitely, then we'll probably have an episode on that.
For sure.
On
Diefenbaker was definitely one of the more interesting prime ministers, for sure.
I just mean like on Marshall's thoughts on.
Yes.
Just like an hour of Marshall just sitting and like going off.
The Raben Report's 1-on-1. And then we'll talk about you and Karl Marx as well.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh, Daddy Marx. How much I have to say.
Oh boy. So then, aside from Jennifer Keys, Matt, What are some other top contenders for the Toronto mayoral
Well,
race?
third place is the notorious, bloodthirsty, child-eating neo-Nazi Faith Goldy. Who
Really?
Well, no, I don't. Oh. She's not a neo-Nazi. That's just
No, not that part. I mean,
oh, she's in third place. Yeah, she's polling at 15.
Wow.
Yeah, she's doing quite well.
Jesus Christ.
I'm surprised.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I think that people are going to be sorely kicked in the bottom when the results come out and Faith Goldy does quite well, and people have been dismissing her all along as a fringe candidate.
Yeah.
But she's polling higher right now in the municipal election than the Liberals were in the provincial election. And nobody calls the Liberals fringe, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a real shake-up of how things are going in Toronto municipal politics with the results regarding Faith Goldy.
So for Faith Goldy in more depth, Faith Goldy's ads were actually blocked from airing on Rogers and Bell owned networks, so on Rogers Radio and on Bell television stations. They sent her a letter, they refunded her money, and then she launched a lawsuit against it. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they have a right not to show her content after saying they would, or is this just politics?
No, it's a violation of CRTC rules. If
not showing it?
Yeah, so since they aired commercials for other candidates, they have to offer every single candidate an opportunity to buy ad space or ad time.
Yeah.
They aren't allowed to deny them unless those ads in themselves are in violation of CRTC guidelines. And so she won't win the lawsuit because Rogers and Bell are probably the two most powerful entities in our country, and essentially can, wave away with the hand of God any trouble that comes their way. But I think that it is an interesting thing to see how they are just openly violating CRTC rules, and that nothing's going to happen to them, because I think a lot of Canadians might wake up to the fact that Rogers and Bell, the duopoly going on there, is a serious issue, and that maybe we have to look into doing things the Saskatchewan way. But I don't think SaskTel is a kind of provincial telecommunications company that services Saskatchewan. It's government-owned. And, I mean, a lot of conservatives that I know are, as soon as they hear government-owned or nationalized or whatever, they are, clutching at their pearls going, well, I never. But I think when you have something that's a natural monopoly or a natural duopoly or a natural oligarchy, you have to nationalize, or at least do something to that effect, because it just does not benefit Canadians. And I'm not, and more so than I'm a conservative, more so than I'm a capitalist, I'm a Canadian who wants to benefit Canadians, right? But I digress. When it comes to that, Bell and Rogers are in the wrong, but nothing will happen.
So you think they're not? You think that she's not going to win her lawsuit?
No, she won't.
No. Do you think she knows that, or do you think she thinks?
I think she knows that. I think she's going into it for, a lot of lawsuits aren't gone into with the intention to win. I mean,
just to cause controversy.
Well, yeah, just to get people talking, to get awareness going,
for sure.
To show that you have the balls to do it, essentially.
I don't really have an opinion on that. I think that if Bell and Rogers agreed to it, that's, they signed up for that. People know Faith Goldy. They know what she's about. They know what she's made of. Like, if you're going to agree to anything that she's going to create, it's not going to be any different than the stuff she's put out on the internet before. So, and you know what? She has, like, a decent following. I think...
it's huge.
I think that following deserves to see their candidate on the air. Unpopular amongst, left-wingers, but... I don't like her. I hate her. Hate her guts. She's a nice person. I've met her in person. Very nice lady. I haven't met her. She was. I went to a birthday dinner, and she was in the table over.
I remember this.
Yeah.
You told me about it.
And I kept looking over at her, and she fully knew that I was looking at her, and she fully knew that I recognized her, and she sort of smiled at me and sort of realized that it would be weird if I would come over.
Yeah.
So I kind of appreciated that, that's silent, like, hey, I know you know me, nice to see you, just kind of back off. And I was like, cool. And I don't know, she seems like you've worked with her.
Yeah, I worked with her for a long time.
Yeah.
And she was my best work friend when I was at the Rebel, and her and I still keep in touch here and there. I do think Faith is truly a good person. She's always been, ever since I've known her, she's been so great. And I think people are really very, very hard on her. And I think if you disagree with her politics, no matter how much you disagree with her politics, whatever. But she's a good girl, and she's very smart too. And I think that people are unfair to her. No matter how much you hate her, I think you have to be, or anybody, no matter how much you dislike anybody, I think it's important to be fair to them.
I agree.
And represent them accurately.
Oh, for sure.
Now, look
We're talking
who's
about
here.
Faith Goldy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Just came back from a midterm. That was speechless. It was pretty shit, but it's okay. It's okay.
But you're here now, so
yeah, that's all
we
that
can finish
matters.
the show
I'm
strong,
just happy that it's over.
which you came in time for, because now I want to move on to elections elsewhere, starting with your home.
Oh,
of
with
Brampton.
Bompton? Yo, with
Bro-
B-Town? That's what you're saying?
So in Brampton specifically, we have a familiar face running there by the name of Patrick Brown, the former leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario. You don't like him, do you?
No.
No. So does he have? Let's start with you, Daniel, since you just came in. But does he have a chance to, to win the mayoral race?
He definitely does, because, even though after all of those allegations that came out, he staunchly denied them and stuff like that. So, due to, unfortunately, a lack of evidence with those allegations, it still gives him credibility to run. But, I don't know. I think,
I've
that's
seen his- I've
the
seen
problem with that is, everyone's going to just look at him because of those allegations, right?
Yeah.
But then if we could make another comparison all the way back to Ford and Trump and stuff like that,
They still won.
they would still agree with his policies, and they're not going to
yeah,
care about what those allegations are. All they really care about is having a better Brampton. So if you really make sense, with the last mayor, with Linda Jeffrey, she really fucked things up with that. I was so against the whole lack of connection between Brampton and Mississauga for that subway system that they're making and stuff
And
like
her
that.
pay situation.
Yeah,
too.
she's the
yeah.
highest paid one out of everyone right
Highest
there.
paid mayor in North America.
North America. How
Really?
ridiculous! Yeah,
Yeah.
out of-
She's
in
making
Brampton. Yeah.
just under 250K
Yeah.
a year.
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so people didn't know that for a long time.
Yeah,
That
I
was
just found that out
it
now.
was
it's
it was
been like that for years now too. Ever when Susan Fennell, the last mayor, she was still getting a crazy pay rate too. So
she did take a pay reduction after the controversy, but
Yeah.
she's still getting paid quite a sizable amount.
yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know many. More about the other candidates. But all I know is the important ones would be Linda Jeffrey and Patrick Brown. That's really the most important thing you got to worry about with that. So.
And I think Patrick Brown's going to win. There's another guy. I think
can happen, yeah.
He's a Sikh guy, and he's I think the third place candidate.
Yeah.
He might be fourth place.
Yeah.
And he was making kind of waves for a little bit. I can't even remember his name now. He's got a long name, but he's kind of faded away into obscurity. I think Brown's going to win. I think his.
Yeah, I would say the same.
He
I'd say
has
that.
a really good connection with the Indian community, South Asian community in general, and that's a huge percentage of Brampton's demographic makeup.
Yeah.
And so that's really going to help him. Getting the endorsement of the Prime Minister of India, a personal endorsement.
Wow.
Did?
Yeah,
Modi.
Prime Minister Modi refers to Patrick Brown as his brother.
Well, brother from another mother.
They're like best friends.
pretty
Why?
Sikh, if you ask me.
Why? Why?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Are you crying at him?
Yeah, I know that was that
Indian
move.
tears.
I'm crying some.
Moved you.
Wow.
But yeah,
So-
I think he'll win.
So then, in regards to the rest of Brampton, how does city council work? How many people are elected to city council? How many
It's
wards are there?
the councilors are they control 2 wards, and it's basically a neighborhood and a half, I guess. I don't know. I don't know, man. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't really. It doesn't really care about the councilors right now. I think the most important thing is the mayor right now, because
Yeah.
that's the most controversy that's happening right now and stuff like that.
Can I
I
speak to that
No, go ahead.
for a minute. When I was in Chicago,
Yeah.
one of the blanket emphasis, one of the blanket things that everybody we met emphasized, that took me a while, was to vote down ballot. To make sure you're voting down ballot. Vote for your counselor, vote for your school trustee, your Catholic
Yeah.
District School Board trustee. Like, just get to know them.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot more power than you'd imagine them to have. So I think that the mayor is important, but the councilors and the down ballot
Yeah.
votes are also important.
I never really thought about it like that, but like I see just like you don't like all the problem with all these city councils is like they're no names. That's the thing. Like, you don't know them unless you know them on a personal level. And
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
At least like if you look at Linda Jeffrey and Patrick Brown, you can check out who they are by googling them and stuff like that. You're not gonna get as much hits on these guys, and like people only care about the big things and stuff like that. If it was up to me, then Brampton should be focusing on getting that LRT into the rest of the Brampton. It should be focusing on decreasing its insurance rates, and it should be focusing on what else? I would say putting an institution into the campus again. So they want to put Ryerson downtown, like a downtown campus or something like that. That would be the biggest priorities that you need to make right there. Because right now it's just filled with brown people and filled with old people. And Brampton is a modern city. It's a large city. We're better than that. We can be. We want to be able to attract the best.
Are you
people
saying
from
you're
all of
better
that.
than brown people?
I
and
am.
old
I'm
people?
part. I'm part of the. I'm part of them.
Oh,
And so if in context, if I ever use the term brown, it's the most inclusive racial term for that too.
you know, it's funny because I hear Hispanics refer to themselves as brown
Yeah,
people
I
all
do,
the time,
all the
but
time.
nobody else refers to Hispanic people as brown people, so it always confuses
Same
me.
thing with Arabs. Arabs like to refer to themselves as brown people, but
Yeah, and no-
I feel like people make the distinction between brown people and Arab people.
Like when I think of like if somebody says brown people, I think of South Asian people.
Yeah.
Same.
Usually.
Me too.
But yeah, I guess you know what I always hear it, and I first heard George Lopez say it, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, maybe that's where I picked it up from.
George
When-
Lopez.
When people refer to me as white, I'm just like, no, I'm caramel. I'm delicious. But moving back to Toronto, which I forgot to mention because we were talking about
Yeah.
councillors, the reduction in council is a big thing. So there were
It's a
47
sad
councillors.
day. 44. There were 44.
47. It was 44, then it
It
became
was
47.
supposed to be 47 this election.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
are
it was
44
44?
sitting
Yeah.
right now.
That was
Oh.
before they
That's
wanted
a
to
that's a big thing that people do not
I didn't
make
know
the
that.
distinction
Because
of.
everybody was saying it's 47, 47.
No,
so-
it was supposed to be 47 this election. There were 4 years of studies done from 2014 till now,
Right.
or 2013 to
justify adding those
2017, to adding the 3 councillors to increase voter representation.
Wow.
But Dougie Ford striked with the hand of Thanos, and
The Infinity Gauntlet.
the Infinity Gauntlet, and
So-
yeah.
So now that it's 25 councillors, I feel like, in a sense, it'll be easier to get to know your local councillor.
I agree with
just
that.
because
Not on a personal level, but on
Yeah.
a information
yeah,
level.
Yeah.
because you look at these small cities, right? Like smaller cities, like Vaughan and Brampton, right? Like we have, there's actually a lot of people running, but we have 5 wards, each represented by 1 person, and we have 3 local and regional councillors. It's the same title. I don't know why it says local and regional. Just call it regional.
How many
and we
people
have
does
1
Vaughan
mayor.
have though? Like
Huh?
150K? Like
Vaughan?
yeah.
We got over
No,
200K.
regional counselor is
Oh,
different
200K?
from local counselor.
No, in Vaughan, it's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Like literally, they're called local and regional councillors.
Oh, I see.
Ask me why, I don't know.
Okay.
But we elect
Interesting.
3, and I think there's 11 people running, and then for mayor, 1, and then 5 wards to represent.
Yeah.
But I feel like because of that, it's easier to get across, and find out information about all these candidates. So I feel that in Toronto, with the wards being smaller, it's easier. Again, you mentioned to access information about them.
Yeah, you know,
But I would say like Adam's point trumps like what you're trying to say though. Like the idea, like the need for voter representation trumps the need for reduction in the budget cost and reducing councils.
I totally, yeah.
yeah, it's
That's more important.
when you boil down to it, it's about $2.41 a household
You're
in
paying to the councillor. Or?
in what you're saving
Oh.
with Doug Ford's cut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have told me, they're like, hey, $2.41 is a lot for a lot of families. I want to say they're right, but at the same time, that's a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't see. I was so upset with the whole thing. I read an interesting article in the Star yesterday, the liberal left wing propaganda of the Toronto Star, and they were saying that with all the mayhem in the mayor election, we didn't get the election we deserved. We didn't get, the focus on the mayor debates. We didn't really get the comparison of the two platforms.
Yeah.
It was just what's happening with Doug Ford and the cut of the councillors. And I think that Toronto did miss this election.
Yeah.
I think that because
I agree.
everything happened so quickly, we didn't get a good election. And I don't think voter turnout will be very high because it sort of all happened, in the wind. So I think that we're going to look back on this election and we're going to be very sad. John Tory was supposed to get a cakewalk to his second term. So, the actual results of John Tory versus not John Tory would be wouldn't have changed much, but at the same time.
Are there any of those candidates that are like super like pro Ford or like working with?
Well,
him?
Mamalidi in
And then
Ward
his
7.
nephew, Michael Ford.
Michael Ford, Doug Holliday in
Tory's
Etobicoke.
also PC, so he kind
But
of...
he's a weird PC. If you look into his PC history, he never actually won an election
Yeah.
as running for anything in the PCs. He was appointed in a by-election. He tried to win in another by-election, lost. He ran as in Don Valley West in the 2007 provincial election. He lost. He ran against David Miller in 2003 for mayor. He lost. The only thing I think he really won was PC leadership.
Yeah.
If you want to correct me there. So he's not a real PC to PCs in Ontario.
Well, because he didn't have that power position for long. Before
He also did not make a very good leader of the party, and like the whole wanting to the religious schools funding thing, unconstitutional. As soon as he wanted to fund all religious schools equally to Catholic schools, which is unconstitutional. And as soon as you propose something unconstitutional as your main platform point, you've lost. It's silly move.
How come it's unconstitutional?
Our constitution establishes that we will have a public board and a separate board. That separate board in Ontario, Manitoba, I think just Ontario and Manitoba will be a Catholic board. In Quebec and Nova Scotia, it will be an Anglican board.
Okay.
And they need to be like kind of elevated above other religions because we don't have separation of church and state in Canada. Those are the two official religions of our country. We don't have a state religion, but we do have an enshrined religion in a lot of ways. And Anglicanism and Catholicism are two enshrined religions.
That's fair.
Which I guess is just one religion, Christianity, but yeah.
So then the last thing I want to mention, because we talked about Brampton, we talked about Vaughan. Marshall, you want to quickly tell us what's going on in Whitby?
Yeah, sure. So I'm not voting in Whitby. I'm voting in Toronto. But how it works in Whitby is we have.
At least you're voting.
Yes, we have a mayor. Obviously, there's two people running for mayor. Don Mitchell, who's the current mayor, who I've never even seen before. I don't know what he looks like. I've never heard him speak. I'm sure he's nice, but I don't know anything about him. And then in the last mayor, Pat Perkins, she was so wonderful and so involved. I sat beside her in church and stuff, and she was great. But Don Mitchell, I don't have any criticisms of him other than I just don't know who he is, really. And then Andrea Clark is, I believe, who's running against him, who I know even less about. We have 4 wards in Whitby, so 4 councillors. And Pat Perkins' son, Sean Perkins, I think, is running in one of them. And he's like the really conservative one. He's like our Giorgio Mamalidi, but not even close. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sean Perkins. I don't mean to make that comparison. You're not like Mamalidi at all. Never mind. But he's our like most conservative Whitby politician.
He'd be your Min and Wong.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay.
And so then we've got nobody really notable except for Elizabeth Roy, who's running. She was a Liberal candidate who lost in Whitby. Nikki Lundquist, who was an NDP candidate who lost in Whitby.
Yeah.
She's running for school board trustee, I believe. And then we've got our regional councillor, who is just the person who oversees the region of Durham, I guess, for Whitby, on behalf of Whitby. Nobody I can really remember running there. But, sorry to disappoint. I don't know that much about Whitby elections.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
I mean, I guess next week, next Tuesday will be the day after the election, so 6 days away. Something else, you weren't here, but we mentioned tomorrow is weed legalization day.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to change your life.
It's funny, like, I'm at this crossroad right now where I just want to, like, I will say it on Facebook too, like, I want it to be a day where I stop smoking weed all the time. To be honest, I fucking hate it. It's atrocious how it's, like, destroyed, like, I don't know. I feel like it just changed for the worse and stuff like that. For me, what I want to do is I just want to switch it back and treat it like alcohol, just like something for a party thing, like once in a while. If you choose to do that, good for you. Just do your research.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, good luck, stoners. Yeah.
Very true. Well, we wish you luck.
Thanks, man.
I will see you at our next AA meeting. It'll be at my place. But that was our show for this week. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. Thank you, Daniel, for making it out after your midterm.
No problem. Needed something to cool down the pain, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Smile through the pain.
I think the good news is I thought I had a midterm today, but I think it's next week. So I'm really happy about that.
Good job.
But anyway, a brand new episode of the Raben Report will be coming to you next week. Same day, same time, same people. Have a great day, everyone.